What is up? It is Miguel from Run With It, and we are back for another episode of Art Can Change the World. It's where we interview artists and those who work within the arts industry to hear stories about how, well, art can actually change the world. And today we got Stephen Herve with us. And Stephen, why don't you tell them what you do in the arts world?
Yeah, absolutely. I do a lot of promotions, is how I like to describe it. I work with Do 816, a website and app that my elevator pitch for Do 816 is it's a website and app that helps you find what to do tonight in Kansas City.
Yeah.
We list a lot of we focus primarily on live music. We list theater, film, everything we can get our hands on. That's my day job. I also work with The Record Machine, a local label that is partners with Middle of the Map Fest.
Which is kind of a big thing.
It's a little bit. It's pretty important around Kansas City. So we help do a lot of the booking and logistics for that festival with Inc. Magazine. I also work with the So Far Sounds Kansas City team.
Okay.
And I also occasionally write for playlistplay.com.
Gotcha.
So
you're a busy dude.
I think, yeah.
Busy dude in the arts world.
It keeps me going often.
Now, obviously, having your hands in so many things behind the scenes like that, art and music seems to be a big deal for you.
Yes.
What spurs that on? Like, what started that for you?
Yeah, so I don't have a musical bone in my body.
Okay.
But I clearly love music with a huge passion for music. And so to get involved, I just started working on that. The behind the scenes, the booking, the managing, the figuring out how labels release music and all that stuff. So I can still exercise that passion without having to have the talent for actually playing.
You can kind of fuel the passion of it, fuel the other
I can help,
there,
if you're passionate about a band, you can help that band get to that next level by doing all the behind the scenes stuff. It doesn't just happen,
Absolutely.
So
well, in bands like us, we always appreciate that kind of thing because it's like it's so hard as a band to do that on your own. It's been folks like you who've been instrumental in anything we do. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
For you personally, is there any story that sticks out where art or music has impacted you?
Yeah, we were just talking, I think before we were rolling, about So Far Sounds, and it's this new thing to Kansas City, secret concert series of sorts. You go online and you apply to attend these secret concerts, and you don't know anything about them until the day of. That's when you find out where the location is and who is playing that show.
Awesome.
And it's really fun, and the community fostered by So Far is just amazing. When you go to these shows, people actually talk with each other. It's 35 people that you probably don't know, and they're all talking with each other and conversing between sets about why they loved what they just saw. And then again, when the band's playing or the artist is playing, it's the quietest you ever hear an audience. People are sitting and they're intently watching and just like taking in everything that's going on. And that's really cool for me, somebody who loves that, to find that community of people.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, that just connects with me. Because I'm like, there's other people out here that just love what I love, and that's cool.
Yeah.
That's just...
No, you're not alone, and
be
inspired by their connection with
Like, of course people love music. That's not like revolutionary, that people love music. It's just, right? It's like mind-boggling. It's just fun to be around those like-minded people for 3 hours every so often.
Well, and I think there's casual fans of music. There, people who music's a part of their life, but it's not necessarily like that drive. But then to get around people who are like talking about every little nuance, they want to see like what was the story behind it. Some friends of ours we were talking about earlier before we started rolling the new schematics, where we were at a house show together, and where he's telling the story behind this song that was on their album, which was this big kind of pop rock album. But here they are stripped down in a living room telling you there's something special.
You kind of like peel back the layers of whatever that band is, and you get a little closer glimpse on whatever's under it. And it's been like that for every So Far. Like every So Far, I've found something new about these artists that I just like latch onto and that I love.
That's
like,
awesome.
That is really cool. I didn't know that before. Or hearing that song that I've heard 10 times in this way is like a whole new level. It's like a whole new song.
That's awesome.
It's just really fun to be around and experience that with a bunch of people that also appreciate what you're experiencing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned something earlier, like promoting, managing. Is that how you got started with the whole music promotion thing? Were you managing a band, or how'd that start?
No. So, I mean, initially my love for music came out of going to shows in high school. I started just going to shows all the time. And when it came time for college, I initially wanted to be a teacher. And,
okay.
I spent my first year of college in the education program and quickly got out of that to do
a year was enough for you.
It was enough, yeah. I used to work for a school district too, so like I knew what being around kids was like, but like all the teachers stuff and just like all the politics that goes into it, it's like I'm not gonna deal with this.
I get that.
So then I went to school for public relations, and my junior year I had to do a project it was like an independent study, and my independent study teacher was pushing me to find something I care about, like do this this public relations project, a case study on something you actually care about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just thinking, I'm like, I really care about when local bands get put on bills with like national bands.
That's awesome.
That's what I care about. I'm interested in seeing how that happens. So I thought of like maybe I'll like talk with Mammoth, promoters out of Lawrence that do some of that. And I thought even like more centralized, Middle of the Map does that on a big scale.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not one show. It's a
show.
festival
yeah.
that they're putting a lot of locals with a lot of regionals with some amazing headliners from all over the country.
Yeah.
And so I ended up interviewing Chris Aguirre from Inc. and Nathan Roosh from the Record Machine, and I knew I had an internship coming up the next semester, so I just asked Nathan if I could have an internship. Like during my interview with him, just like, hey, I have all these questions. Yeah. And,
I love that though. That's some hustle, man.
And then that's kind of where I got the passion for doing that behind the scenes stuff.
And you got the internship.
Yeah. I was just like, I need a public relations internship. Is that something you guys can offer? He's like, yeah. I'm like, email me. Let's figure it out.
Let's kill it.
And then that's kind of where like that passion got fostered. Like I probably wouldn't have known I had that passion had I not done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, one of those things you just have to do it to figure out you love it. And if I hated it, I would have left. And obviously I loved it because 4 years later I'm still at the Record Machine. So
it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out.
Point,
yeah, so. And that's where that passion kind of came from. Is I just did it and found out I loved it.
Yeah, and that action, and we're getting to play a show here. It's sponsored by this organization that's trying to take music into middle schools, and so they asked us to play some music and talk about confidence.
Yeah.
And really, the message for us as we boil it down is like confidence only comes through action.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't will it out.
That's
So
true.
it's like, and the only way to find out what you love is really just like take steps out.
Yeah.
And you'll find out real quick. I actually I thought I was going to be an educator.
Mm-hmm.
So I was substitute teaching for a while.
Yeah.
About a semester of that taught me kind of same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this ain't gonna work out.
yeah. Like I did the whole before and after school program in Liberty School District for 7.5 years, like all through high school and through college.
So you really gave it a good.
Yeah. And then when I actually started the education department, though, I was just like, one of the required classes was to do 30 hours classroom observation.
Okay.
And I observed with my second grade teacher, who still teaches second grade in the same school.
Wow.
And she was just like telling me all like how it's changed and everything. Like, I don't know if I can do this. This is like a bunch of just like you have kids that are reading below level and kids that are reading higher than like second grade reading level. And you can't give them the attention they need in a public school, like necessarily. There's a lot of schools that are working with that, but it's just like that struggle. It's just like if I see a kid that isn't up to par in reading, I just want to help that child.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't have the heart for this. I will be like a wreck all the time.
Well, now you get to help put together events that are inspiring a bunch of kids as well. So
and like what you guys are doing, that's really cool. Like going in and just like doing that like performance and then talking with them.
Yeah, we're pumped about it.
That's so cool. Fun. And I've heard so many stories, like even lately, just people that said like, I just took the opportunity, I just asked, like I was just hanging out with somebody and I said, hey, can we do this? Mm-hmm. And it turned into a job or, a really cool idea, and you just kind of have to take those opportunities.
Well, that's what I love. You had an interview and you turned that into an internship, and 4 years later, you're an integral part of this thing. So that's awesome, man. Is there a story that sticks out? We're talking about this idea of impact here. A story that sticks out to you where you've seen art or music impact somebody else?
Oh man, it's just, again, it's going back to that, how people connect to music and how I intently just love to absorb music. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, did my dog just leave?
Uh-oh.
She's back.
She's back.
Hey, come here.
I'm
just
letting that in.
What? Please do. Sorry, yeah, I just, the way that people absorb music and I absorb music, it's like almost like religious to me. That's like what I believe in. I believe in music. Yeah. And I know there are people out there like that. And when you're going to shows and you're seeing like big time artists, like I guarantee this happened at Radiohead, people just like crying because they're just like overwhelmed by how cool that is. That's cool. That's how I think music should be, like when you just love it that much. Like it impacts people to like an emotional level. And I just love seeing, love seeing people crying. But you know what I mean? Like, when I know
it's like
happy,
tears of joy, like, oh my God.
When I know it's like happy crying, that's like really neat. And that's like really satisfying. And I mean, obviously I didn't put on Radiohead, but there's like people behind there that are like, that must be really important as artists. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be an artist, but like, I'm sure you want your music to connect with people.
Absolutely.
And, I talk to bands all the time, and it's like, what is your goal as a band? Like, we want to connect with people, whatever that means. Yeah. Like, whatever that means to whoever, our goal is to connect with those people. And I think that's really powerful. I mean, music is just insanely powerful. It gets you through hard times and celebrates good times with you. It's like always there. You can't ignore it. So it has to mean something to everybody. Yeah. And I just think that's like a really cool thing. It's just such, I don't know, it's weird. It's just such a powerful driving force.
Yeah, it really is. There, one of our other interviews we did, I think it was a month or two ago, there is Hartzell from The Buzz. They're talking about putting on a show and looking out, and the first downbeat of, was it maybe Alt J at one of their concerts they brought in. They watched as there was this girl in the front row who just started bawling, and they said for them that was that moment of like, wow, it means that it's so deep to that one person.
And that has to be so rewarding for people like Hartzell who like helped bring that band to town. And then he can watch people's reactions to that. That's absolutely so cool.
Well, even think like you're wearing the shirt Valley Hush.
Yes.
And so you said, hey, we're in Austin. You're like, hey, stop by the showcase thing. And we did. And just musically where they're at, we were in the middle of making demos ourselves and dreaming where we're going, which involved a lot of synths.
Right.
Like the joke was, just tell Miguel you'll throw synth in it and he'll like it.
Yeah.
And then they're just using electronic music and rock kind of melding in such a way that for me it was an inspiring moment where I was like, yes, it helped put together the week previous we spent in the studio. Right. For me, like, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm sure like as an artist, like you probably hit like writer's block or every once in a while, and then when you hear something like kind of like, I think Valley Hush has a really unique sound that you don't hear very often. And when you hear bands like that are doing something a little bit different or something that's even out of the vein of what you usually listen to or do, you can kind of like pick up on that, and I don't know, maybe it like refreshes you or something.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I got a guest coming in.
That's awesome.
But
the third dog cameo in the Art Can Change the World series. Maybe we'll have to like do dogs Art Can Change the World. Dogs that change the world. That's awesome. I'll have to we have our dog mascot. I have a Great Dane at home. Awesome. So he makes his way into photos.
We have there's a house down the street in our neighborhood that has a Great Dane and a dachshund, and I see them like in the windows like when I'm walking her, and I just like imagine just like they're probably best friends. They probably just have like tons of adventures inside.
Whenever the Great Dane's like doesn't want to be bothered, he just puts his paw on the dachshund.
Like I bet that relationship has to be awesome.
That's awesome, man.
But I don't know what we're talking about.
Dogs and changing
the world.
So, I appreciate you spending the time. Appreciate what you do. Putting things together like this, helping bands like us in this city and beyond. I know too, especially we work in the record machine as that extends out. And would you mind just telling our fans where they can connect with you and the many things you're involved with?
Yeah, absolutely. Just hit me up on Facebook, Stephen Herve, and all my things. The Record Machine, pretty straightforward. Do 816, that's DO 816. That's all over the place. Sofar Sounds, it's SOFAR Sounds, and then playlistplay.com. It's a blog. And if you see me at a show, like say what's up. I love talking to people and meeting people and figuring out why you're at that show. That's fun. So why are you here? What about this show? Yeah, come talk to me. Let's hang out. Let's get a drink or coffee or something.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for making the time, and thanks for letting us have an awesome
Isn't
backdrop.
Cool?
Is this a local artist as well? I'm assuming.
You know what? I actually don't know. My first meeting with Nathan all those years ago in college was in this building.
Okay.
And this used to be just sitting on the floor, just leaned up against the wall.
They finally they got an upgrade.
Yeah, and then 3 years later, I get an office in this building, and I come in and I'm like, oh hey, they hung that painting.
That is awesome.
Nothing's changed except for that painting's hung up now.
That's awesome. Thank you guys for joining us, and stay tuned for another episode of Art Can Change the World.